Today on Mob Rules,
we talk about Adepticon.
And Ted's exploits there in Schaumburg, Illinois.
All that.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All that, not much else.
Episode 47
of Mob Rules.
Mob Rules.
Oh, man. Now we can hit stop. Yay. I'm recording this to see how it works out.
Welcome back, John.
Welcome to episode 47 of Mob Rules.
That is one more than 46.
Hi. We're experimenting recording some of this today, so we'll see how failed this is. I'm John, joined as always by
Ted
and
Phil.
Oh man, that was good. That was good times.
We actually said it all right that time.
That's good.
I want to take
moving
it
right along.
It's a first for everything.
I think we're gonna blaze through this episode. As a matter of fact, it kind of feels like it's done already.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next time.
I wanted to do a quick shout out for our listeners for the past 3 months because we're on the rise.
Holy crap!
Shit, numbers are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
So thank you for telling your friends. Well, maybe
Thank
your
you,
enemies.
the people.
Yeah, because you don't want people you like listening to us.
We especially like you telling your enemies.
Yeah, so
your enemies have been awesome to us.
Perfect weapon.
You know what they
revenge.
say? The enemy of my enemy listens to shitty podcasts.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, if only we can monetize this.
Oh man. So yeah, I think. But the only problem is like when you go to like the real monetization, they're all like,
thank you.
Wow, I felt that.
Yes.
So you're like
Just
real
ruined it.
monetization on podcasts, and like some of the
Yeah.
podcasts I listen to, like they do an ad before the start of it.
Okay.
So like when you press play and it's like, now how to tell you how to save 15% in 15 minutes with guide. It's like I don't want to listen to an ad right away.
Yeah.
Unless you pay me, in which case I would.
Is that or we get like a Pantheon and we're like, hey, we'll pull all of our ads if you just like send us a bunch of money.
And then how about you just stop recording?
Or
and we'll
it's
send you
like
a bunch of
PBS.
money?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could do. Yeah, we could do that. Maybe
can we do like a
we need
pledge
to get
drive
a deal.
episode?
Yes.
We need to get a deal where we're literally every podcast, unless you pay us money, and then we're none of your podcasts.
Yeah.
I got it. Episode 50 will no longer be a radio play. Episode 50, we're going to be doing a fake pledge drive where we
our
can
radio play.
We can get it'll still be scripted, but we'll get all of our past guests and friends of the show on to help us.
Wait, friends of the show? So
Yeah.
no one's coming.
Yeah, enemies of the show. Yeah, I think that would be good. It would be a pledge drive to help us. I don't know. Buy all of the codexes before they go away forever.
I want it to be a Ouija board where we contact all of our
homies who have passed. We have an in memoriam section.
That's what it is. We need to get a. We need to have a GoFundMe page to buy a Ouija board so we can figure out what's going to happen in 8th edition.
So $5 is all you need.
Oh,
that's
man.
it. Yeah, that's all.
$5 and a huge suspension of disbelief. Huge.
What will be the armor save of Terminators? X? I don't know what that means.
4 plus on 3d6
to be determined.
to be determined. Bobby, shit, we might as well talk about it. 8th edition. It's coming.
Oh,
That's rumors.
Warhammer 40,001K.
So we could slip
40K
quickly
plus.
into the Adepticon thing, or just like jump right to it, because the first thing I did at Adepticon was talk to the GW staff about what was coming down the pipe.
Oh my gosh!
All right, let's start.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's fuck progress. I painted stuff. I'm doing some Blood Bowl things. Phil, you're doing some Gene Stealer cult stuff.
painting some
Ted, you're doing some
Lots
shitty
of stuff.
custode thing. Yeah, Adepticon. You talked to.
Should we
some
just
GW.
hop right into
Yeah,
it?
let's hop right into it.
Okay.
Let's keep it hot.
All right.
Splash. Splooge
So
right
8th
on.
edition.
Splooge right in,
All right. So
Here's the scoop.
man, I feel like we just like jumped to the money shot right here. Just like
That's what we do.
All right, fast forward. Oh yeah, she gets a blowjob or gives him a blowjob. Whatever.
Honestly, if they're
They
like,
talk.
hey,
until the last like 30 seconds.
download
Skeet.
this podcast in the first 5 minutes, then you get the
Adeptiskeet.
good shit. Then our downloads go through the roof. People are like, I'm not going to sit through 50 minutes of this shit.
We only care about their downloads, not their enjoyment of our
Exactly.
actual podcast.
Oh man.
So
Don't
we
you know
can
how
take
this
it
works?
to Geico and be like, look at our download numbers. What is it you talk about? Don't worry about that.
we want to have like an introduction, and we want the lizard to show up in our podcast, and then we'll talk for a little while after that.
Yes.
This is a good plan.
Yes.
Be right up front.
Hashtag life goals.
Yeah, $10 a month. That's all we ask.
Geico, just give us $4 a month and the ability to use your lizard.
Oh.
Giggity. Giggity.
Drain it.
It's a snake dick.
Yeah, drain lizard.
Yeah.
Drain the snake.
No.
You drain
it's
the
the
snake.
trouser
No, it's the-
snake
yeah.
and drain the lizard.
Right.
No, you guys
yeah.
are bad. Oh my god.
Back to Britain.
Go back to
Time
America.
for your craziness.
British listeners, please assault at Glacial Geek on Twitter and at BC4D.
Yeah.
At BC the number 4 and the letter D, and let them know that you drain the fucking snake.
You
'Cause
drain
snake
it-
is penis.
No. The
No.
trouser
Yes.
snake is a
Oh
penis.
god. Okay. Anyway, so 8th
It's
edition
like
40K.
lot
Come on.
lizards.
So
But different.
yeah, okay. Yeah, but blow up their Twitter. Let them know they're wrong.
Okay. Wow, somebody paid attention to me on Twitter.
It's a snake dick. I'm in another one.
I'll take the followers. I don't care how it goes. It's how I feel good about myself.
I love it. I think it was like up until like you'd like message me like, "Hey man, look at your Twitter." I went through and like looked at the last post that I had made on there. It was like 2012.
Yeah. So I sent you a message because someone was looking for you on Twitter. So I'm like, hey man,
Yes,
this
someone.
person's looking for you on Twitter.
Some random
Oh.
person.
And then it was like, my follow-up message was also, you might want to change your Twitter to be about the podcast and not your old surf rock band.
I was like, "Oh, Twitter. Huh, I forgot about you."
Yes, someone, quote unquote, random.
Yeah, I might have suggested he changed to Mob Rules Ted. I mean, I'm all about branding and all that other stuff. But
Can you do that? Can
Oh,
you?
God, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I know. I know I can make another account.
No, you
but
just change your
really.
handle. I'll show
So
you how to
if I do that, if I change it from BC4D
Yeah.
to
Mob Rules Ted.
Mob Rules Ted, would people still like when they do BC4D reference
No,
me?
no, no.
Or would
God,
it be
no.
like
no, it'd be gone.
it's just okay,
It's gone forever.
okay, all right.
Like BC4D.
We should-
How many
probably
followers
should
do
be.
you have?
What's that?
How many followers do you have?
Like 12 or 13.
Oh man, let's
I think
get
that
into
still
shaming
might be more than
territory.
mine, so.
It's not many.
It's
You
still
know-
might be
Well,
more
this
than
is like, I mean, it was 12
You know
years. Or,
what, Phil? I have
5
been
years ago.
retweeting your stuff.
I know
I
you have.
have been pushing
I
you on
appreciate
the
it.
social media there.
I even had a back and forth with Rufio there.
Oh man,
Oh, wow.
Rufio
Yeah,
is
he
Rufio's
enjoyed
the
my
man.
references of A Knight's Tale.
All right, so I currently have 156 followers on Twitter.
Dang.
look
Thank
at
you guys.
That's 10 times more than I do.
That's like
I love
almost
you. I love
Kendall
you all.
Jenner level.
I really do. Let me see here. Glacial Geek. Some very exciting typing going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Glavial is not a word.
Oh, whoa. Sounds
You
dirty.
have 18 followers so far,
That is like 16 more than I thought I did.
which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then bottle caps $4. You have 17. So right now, okay.
Oh, I just
So-
got a couple recently.
Oh.
So listeners of the show, we're gonna change Ted's Twitter handle
Oh,
tonight
no.
to @MobRulesTed.
Yeah.
Phil is at
fuck.
Glacial Geek.
Uh-huh.
I want to have a good old fashioned competition between
Wait,
you guys.
Wait. Should it be that, or because when I do the videos, it's like Ted from Mob Rules. Should I just call it Ted from Mob Rules to be part of that? Like,
Well, I mean, you could, or you could continue the branding I
Well,
started.
Actually, you could say Mob Rules Ted, and then the name on the top could be Ted from Mob Rules.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Which I think would be hilarious that it's Ted from Mob Rules.
Mob
at
Rules
Mob
Ted.
Rules Ted.
Yeah.
Just
That's
backwards.
easy.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
Is
well,
this
we'll
a
get into-
palindrome?
Yeah.
Is that what
So at MobRulesTed,
okay.
at Glacial Geek,
Okay.
follow them on Twitter, and then I want to see
We gotta
who
actually remember to
grows
do
the
that.
most. I want because
Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
I'm a shower, not a grower. You guys need to be
Wow.
Yeah, so Ted,
Okay.
8th edition Warhammer.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
Yeah, that's what we're talking about
sit
there.
back, children, and pull up a.
I was going to say Uncle Ted
Yeah.
and Uncle
It's
John
story
are
time.
going to tell a little story to you guys from the early 90s about something called 2nd edition, which seems to be making a comeback.
So I go to Adepticon, and I show up a little bit early. I think Peter and I from NGC 40K, he and I were going to split a room. I think I ended up showing up a day before he thought I would. So I was potentially homeless. So I ended up going to Adepticon instead. I think they've added an extra day to
Spiky
Adepticon.
Bits
Yeah.
will post a headline that says Adepticon has homeless problem. Click here to find out more. It will be the most downloads we ever get.
Ever.
I mean, I'm down for that.
Ever.
But yeah, so I ended up I go to Adepticon. I think it's the Thursday. I think normally they start on Friday, or maybe it's a Wednesday.
No, they start pretty early.
Yeah, so I think it was like a day earlier than it was last year. So I get down there
the Tuesday night. So you got there on the Wednesday.
Yeah, I got there Wednesday. I think they started Thursday, I think, last year, and then it was Wednesday this year.
Of America over here.
Yeah, so
we had to fly a long way regardless of where it is.
Right, it was like I got there and like, oh crap, gotta go to Adepticon. But it was really cool. I think like the first thing we did was they had like the seminar. So for $5, and it was like the cheapest fucking thing. No, I take it back. It was free. GW put it on for free. There was like 40 of us in a room. They had the slideshow, which immediately was leaked to the internet by GW.
I think it was. Well, I was going to say I think it was leaked during the presentation by people. In the
there,
as well.
there was like blurry pictures, and then GW was like, "All right, well, f you guys, we're going to do it ourselves, and make it better."
We all knew that. I think like there was actually a joke at the time that it was happening. It was like, "Oh, you guys are going to release it as soon as this is over with anyway," and they're like, "Yeah."
I hats off to those leakers who release really shitty, blurry photos of things, because it makes GW release just gorgeous, high quality images like very soon after. They're the true unsung heroes of modern 40K.
Well, especially now when they used to get a little bit of internet fame for releasing it, and now they don't even get that because
GW just does it.
Why? I could just show you a 360 spinnable view of it.
It's like, do you want to see that
Sounds
out of
good.
Focus sort of off print, off color print of Magnus, or do you want to see this full color 360 spin of the actual model? You got two choices. Which are you going to click?
If you have augmented reality, you could lick it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand how that works, but I like it.
Yeah.
So, there was like 40 of us. Andy Smiley and Pete Foley were putting it on. And so he's one of the head designers for our game developers. And Andy Smiley kind of runs most of everything else. So it's kind of neat, we get it from like the horse's mouth. So they quickly go through like, this is what's going to happen.
Really mean thing to call them too.
Yeah.
Andy Smiley is not a horse.
Yeah, they're people.
He
has a short
stallion.
Yeah.
Quite ripped. I was really impressed. But
why was he shirtless during the presentation?
It was just in Ted's mind.
He was shirtless with like a fan machine blowing air on him. Let me tell you about sustained fire dice.
The fan doesn't come out until Duncan comes in. That's when the shirt's off and the fan starts blowing.
It was a crazy world, man. You should have been there.
He hadn't slept much, but it's okay.
I was high on airplane peanuts.
Oh, peanuts.
Right.
Okay.
Sir.
Mile High
sir.
Club.
I will take the 9-inch. So it took a bit. I was waiting for you guys.
Why didn't you just say foot long? It's a better joke.
Humble brag.
Hashtag humble
You
brag.
gotta learn hashtag if you want to beat me in this Twitter war.
Yeah.
So they show us, like all the 40K stuff that's coming out, and they quickly they would go through that. There was that video of like the deep strike rules and all that stuff.
Hilarious.
That was hilarious.
The room was riot.
Oh my
Working on
God.
the new deep strike rules.
I did not expect that.
I did
No,
not either.
no.
I was like, that's hilarious.
It was the funniest part for me wasn't that he threw it down. It's that he peered over. I'm like, what? Yeah, that worked well.
Yeah, everyone didn't really react to it exploding. They were just like,
all right.
okay.
To be fair, the profits would skyrocket, and I would see a hell of a lot less Skyhammer if you literally had to throw the pod at the table.
Yeah, you can depart from any piece of the drop pod wherever it lands on the table.
But if any part
That would
falls
be
off of the
amazing.
table, it's a mishap. Instant mishap.
Yeah, and because you broke it, you can't actually deep strike again. It's just automatically a 1.
See, this would
There's only a 1 on the misstep.
this would
table now.
incentivize like ChinaCast big time because it breaks into small pieces like all over the place. Shatters
So
into
my
powder.
deployment zone for my test squad is
Whatever I
the
want.
table.
Yeah,
It's just a cloud of dust just forms after you throw it down.
that is not plastic.
I
Can't prove
deploy
it.
in your lungs. So free seminar, 40 people, and a smiley.
So then there's the one of the things that I loved about that video, just real quick, was that there was a box that said Plastic Thunderhawk on there,
Yes.
and everybody just lost their shit, and the internet was like, ha ha ha, they're joking, and then like a week later they're like, no, really, Plastic Thunderhawk's coming.
What? See,
What? No, what it was like a week later, they were like, yeah, we've made our last resin.
right. So
Thunderhawk.
they haven't
Yeah.
officially announced the Plastic Thunderhawk
Yeah.
yet. All they've
they're like-
announced,
but they're like,
we're not making this model anymore. Also, there's pictures of a different looking Thunderhawk and Inferno, and we're not making this resin one anymore. But don't read too much into that. Wink.
Right. I thought that was kind of weird because at one point they pulled the transporter Thunderhawk, and I think like somebody had contacted them and were like, "Yo, what's up with this?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just it'll be back."
The
but
mold's
it hasn't been
deteriorted.
Yeah,
That's what
I believe.
Like
I don't know about the
drop
transporter,
pods,
but I know the other one
Yeah.
for sure.
I think on the transport,
really?
deteriorated. There's a couple models that have been kind of lost for a while because the molds just go.
Yeah, they have to remake the molds.
They have to remake the molds on them.
Such as the Dreadnought drop pod. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah.
So sad. Make it plastic, please.
Yeah. So anyway, so there was that. They showed us the Plague Marine stuff. But then he goes into like what's going to change for 40K, and of course they had like other things to talk about, like ShadeSpire and everything. But this isn't a ShadeSpire podcast.
I will say, for not being a ShadeSpire podcast, I'm fucking hyped for that game.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It was fun.
ShadeSpire or
Yeah.
Shadow Wars?
ShadeSpire.
ShadeSpire, the Age of Sigmar
Oh,
card-based
yeah.
combat
Well,
game.
we
That
can
does
go
sound
into that. We actually test drove it, so we can talk a little bit about
shit.
it.
Yeah.
It's actually a redo of Car Wars.
It is.
yeah.
Attention, all listeners. Mob Rules is now a all Games Workshop game podcast. We want to thank you for your patience.
So
Games Workshop, please send us review materials.
thankfully, it is actually relevant to
that?
the story. So, so then they go into like what's going to happen with 8th edition, and you've seen most of the leaks, or not even leaks, but I don't know if you
Ideas, I guess.
So I think like the things that they definitely said that were going to happen, we're going to see hit modifiers, saving throw modifiers, and you're going to see.
Movement.
What's that?
Movements
Movement.
for each of the different models.
Statistics. We're going to see leadership based on casualties. So when you take like a 3 wounds from shooting, it's -3 to your leadership.
I'm so.
Well, no, not even just that. It's you
like
take,
the
you roll against it, and whatever you do over your leadership, you don't just break. You take that many more casualties.
yeah.
That's not what they said.
Okay.
That's what they said on the post.
Okay.
Yeah, on the post it said, because what it is you have, because right now the way it is leadership, you take -3 if you lose 3 models.
In hand to hand, not from shooting.
Yeah.
It's a static like leadership. If
Because
you take
they
it
were
from
talking
shooting.
about they were talking about it's not an all for nothing anymore with morale. That if it's you roll, you take however many you lost, add that or roll your dice, add it to that, and whatever you minus your leadership, and then whatever it is over that.
Yeah.
You take that many more casualties, sort of like.
I didn't hear that at all.
I think that was
that's
for
on, that's on,
maybe
yeah, that's
for
on the,
hand
that's
to
on
hand.
that's on the post that they put on
Yeah.
the Warhammer community.
Well, I think no matter what it is,
Cool.
I really enjoy that they're noticing that the leadership characteristic is pretty much useless. You know what I mean? Because like orcs are 7, but if you have this guy, it's 8, and I think the average for most armies is 8 that you can get.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with like 8, 9, 10, which is kind of where it's at.
Yeah.
And most armies I play against are 9 or 10 for leadership.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make a huge difference. And you
Yeah.
don't fail that often. And if you do fail, it's really not a huge loss or a big negative to it.
Right.
So it's been one of
Especially
those.
when most armies have feel no or it will not
Right.
or it knows no fear.
Yeah,
You know,
no
Oh,
rules.
I broke, went back,
she'll know
now
rules, yeah.
regroup and everything. I can move my full distance.
And so like for the past like
or you sweep me. Okay, we're just
okay,
locking combat.
whatever. Yeah. So for the past like 2-3 editions, leadership has just been one of those characteristics. So that I feel is kind of like a holdover from previous editions. That's there because it's been there without really being useful at all.
Yeah.
Well, as an orc player, I feel leadership a lot. Like,
As
it's
an
sad.
orc
Like,
player, I'm excited about the prospect of
Yeah.
trucks having wounds and not.
Yeah, that we'll see.
There's a lot more
that's-
salt on those.
Right, that's more rumor than
Super salty rumors, but
Yeah.
that would instantly make orcs great again.
I think there's I would love, and that's something like I really, Peter Foley had like outright said like, hey, if at some point you want to talk about rules or have suggestions or something like that, like please come talk to me. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. I beelined it for Andy. He was like, I love your books, and then like left, which really impressed him.
You should let them know and be like, hey, Inari really aren't powerful enough right now. Could you fix that issue they have with hand-to-hand combat?
Can the entire army shoot once they lose a guy?
I feel 7
can they
inches is unfair. It should be 48.
Should be
Can
the
they shoot
table.
for every model they lose?
Unlimited range.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they let's see, what was that? There was the
But the thing is,
leadership.
when they-
There was the
At least when they released the I don't know what they did in the actual presentation, because obviously I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But in the Warhammer community post they released, and they said we're
Yeah.
thinking of a lot of like hedging
Right.
their bets in case they I was wondering if that was like if there's like an uproar from the community that was like, that was like, how dare you take away my armor save? And they're like, all right, well, that's,
I
people
super
really don't want
enjoy
this.
the possibility of like instead of cover saves, negative to hit modifiers.
Yeah.
That makes a hell of a lot more sense to me. Like if you're shooting into a building, it's harder to hit. You don't.
But that was like back in the day. You had both. You had like your hit, and then you had your save, and of course there's modifiers both ways. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're gonna kind of head back that direction. And I think like the neat thing is, I think we've kind of discussed this before. Is like I think there was a lot of discussion saying like, oh, they're gonna Age of Sigmar it, and like Age of Sigmar is so simple.
Age of Sigmar is fucking solid.
Right, but I think like the subtext is that it's oversimplified, it's not as complicated, etc. Which is, I mean, it's an entirely different argument. But I think like if you really look at it, like what's the difference between having a ballistic skill of 5 and hitting on 2+? Like if that's considered a simplification, it's not. Like mechanically speaking, it's not a simplification. But like the way you think about it is a simplification. Instead of having to like look at a number and be like, what is it? You just look at a number and that's what it is.
Yeah. And also, I think from what I saw with that release and what they put out, it looks like, as opposed to just basically like reskinning Age of Sigmar and being like Age of the Primarch. I think that it looks like what they're doing is they're porting over some of the more popular aspects of Age of Sigmar and then just adjusting it for Warhammer 40,000. You know what I mean? Like because from all of these things that look like they're being taken from Age of Sigmar, the people who don't play Age of Sigmar are like, how dare you Sigmarify my 40K? And all the people that also play Sigmar are like, yeah, those are the best aspects of Age of Sigmar. Everyone who's played it, who's talked about these, are like, what those are talking about, those are some of the better aspects of Age of Sigmar. There's a lot of things that they're like, I'm not so sure I would like to see in 40K, but those aren't the aspects that they're talking about moving over. All the ones they've talked about moving over are the ones that people are like, yeah, that's like one of the better aspects of what Age of Sigmar has done.
And really, like a lot of things that they're talking about going back to Age of Sigmar are really going back to second edition.
Yeah.
I mean, Age of Sigmar kind of went back to second edition 40K.
Like second edition, but a little bit more clarified.
So pulling it up here, the main points they're hitting on: 3 ways to play.
Oh yes,
that's right. That's right.
That too. Yeah.
So General's Handbook for Age of Sigmar, massive success. It turned what was kind of not a joke to the community, but like not a super popular game system with a lot of the old gamers.
There was a lot of people that were talking about it.
Talk about it super negatively. Ever since General Handbook came out for Age of Sigmar, it's a completely different community, and it's amazing. And of course, you got the guys who've been there since the start. Absolutely, but it's universally appreciated.
Yeah, but I was going to say, because it's not even just the people who are into it for the competitive reasons that were happy about the General's Handbook. There are a lot of people that were into it for just fluffy fun, hanging out with friends that are happy about it, because it just gives them a bit more structure to it. Because that's what I mean. Like, there's a couple of people that we know who play Age of Sigmar just for fun. There's not a competitive bone in their entire bodies.
Right. Hi.
And they play these games. And they play these games, and they do it because they like to have just fun with it. And the General's Handbook, it sounds like it's even aided those players. So
and here's my thing on that. I really feel right now that doesn't change much. The saying you have 3 ways to play 40K now. Yeah. You still fucking have that now. It's just how you're delivering the message is changing.
And they even say that like in their post. They're like, we just feel like telling people how that you can play it these different ways has made it that.
And I think that, like, for the longest time, like, GW has really been pushing this idea of like, dude, it's your game. Like, I mean, when they answer a question, it's like, dude, it's your game. Like, talk to your opponent. Like, come up with your own thing. Like, I think in a lot of ways, like, the game was really an excuse to sell mod. I mean, that's not even controversial. Like, it was.
They came out and said that.
Yeah, I mean, it was like,
we're not a game company, we're a model company.
And that's what I think, like, most people really. To some extent, I think that, like, that's the dialogue. Like, that's kind of what people want. You have models, you want like an excuse to use them.
Yeah.
And I think there are people that really like the mechanic, but but anyway, so
yeah.
But I think that's kind of it. So yeah, they could have decided like, okay, if we play it this way, then we won't use warlord traits. If we play it this way, we won't use
Yeah.
But I think the reality is like people don't like that. People like structure, and people like to have an authoritative. Yeah, they want an authoritative entity that's going to say like, this is fair, versus like coming up with their own like way of saying fair, because ultimately somebody's going to bitch about it afterwards. Like, oh, that rule didn't benefit me. Like, well, okay.
You can kind of actually see that concept in kind of the rules, like the different gameplays that they've put into the Gathering Storm books.
Yeah,
they're very specific. They're like, you need to take these models, and they all and everyone has to be like this, this faction, and then the other person plays these factions, and then you set it up in this very asymmetrical way, and it's very narrative. And that's what they talked about. The narrative play from Age of Sigmar is it's situational, like it's scenario based that you're playing.
We also see that in the Gathering Storm books on the second point they bring up, which is army selection. They want to reward fluffy lists. And shoot me internet, but the Anari Reborn Warhost is a ability to take a fluffy Anari list. The Castellans of the Imperium is a way to take a fluffy list, and for taking those lists, you get rewarded with certain bonuses.
And they had them in here. They had
and the same thing there. So I think we're starting to see 8th edition 40K through those kind of lists there.
But I think really, like, if you look at a lot of the formations, there's like I think there is a large fluff element to it. I think like the way people utilize them is in an unfluffy way. But I mean, I think that the seed of it really was like a fluff.
And the concept of like the Inari was in the fluff of the book. It was all of the Eldar coming together, and they are feeding off of this new avatar of death. You know, so they've made rules that work with that, and it's like, that's really freaking cool. But then people find ways to break it, like putting a whole bunch of scatterbugs in mid squads, and then not jinking with them because they want them to die. Someone that we.
I think that like
just fucking charge them. Phil. That's, okay, just internet. Inari are not broken. Just assault them. There are literally no good combat units in there that if you assault, you will wipe them out very, very quickly. I know from experience. With my Inari list, I'm currently 5 wins and 1 loss. You know what happened to my 1 loss? I got charged by Skitarii fucking Rangers.
Wow.
Like the scrubbiest scrubs of the Mechanicum list. And they suck at combat, but you know what? I suck more, and he rolls 40 dice. I roll 3. What happens there? Oh, man.
John salted back at you,
Is John
internet.
getting salty because he's as a salt monger?
That was reverse saltism.
It's reverse saltism. Yeah, I'm getting salty because people
we're
saying
like meta salt.
The army,
salt on salt.
The army's broken. GW's just burning the edition down with this list. I'm like, just learn how to play against it, dude. Come on.
The meta changes all the time.
You know what? Yeah. Imperial Knights broke the game. Remember when Imperial Knights broke the game?
Or
and then
Skyhammer broke the game.
There was like
Skyhammer broke the game.
There was that week when Orcs broke the game.
Oh, was there?
The Horde. There was like the
Green Tide. Yeah.
How am I ever going to kill that many people? And it's
you found a way.
Yeah, you found a way. Look at that.
Yeah. Adaptation.
Oh,
Human's greatest trait.
So movement value's changing.
Yeah. So we got movement. We have the 3 different ways to play.
Shooting.
Armor covered that. Yeah. What else?
Combat phase. Charging unit should fight first.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
That was kind of interesting.
I was thinking about that, and I've been doing some talking about what I think about like these kind of things, and I think that I feel like what would be better as opposed to just like flat out getting to hit first is if charging units maybe got a modifier, a bonus to their initiative.
I have about 140 orc boys who disagree with you right now.
I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, but But my thought is like if I have a Terminator running in with his power fist, with his power fist, and if he just gets to go first, it's gonna like spoil a lot of people's days.
Well, I guess
my thought is
pulling his cork out.
My thought is like maybe they get like a bonus so that they're not just swinging at initiative 1 when they charge because they're preparing for the fight.
Why would they swing at initiative 1? They're initiative 2. God damn.
No, power fist are initiative 1.
Oh, and
you're talking about orcs.
Oh, power for. I'm talking about orcs.
I'm talking about Space Marines.
I think like the original Furious Charge, like being able to add initiative bonuses, +1 initiative. I think at one point it was doubled your initiative. No, that was the Orcs WA thing that doubled their initiative.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, there were aspects of that at one point, and I think it's been like Furious Charge has slowly been weaned.
Yeah, and I think in most cases that would mean whoever charged first attacks first. But if I'm charging you with my power fist and you've got an assassin there at initiative 8, hopefully you would think that the assassin would be able to.
But here's my deal with that. You're running forward with your power fist knowing you're going to charge. You're going to, boom.
Yeah.
You're not going to run like platoon style at him, like, and then just get shanked.
So,
that's true.
So one salty rumor is that they're going to change up. So they're getting rid of the rulebook. They're getting rid of codexes and all that stuff. We're going to see war scrolls. So we're going to see a complete reboot. So basically it's going to be 3rd edition / AOS. And so this would be an opportunity, if they wanted to, like, like they could have those sweeping generalizations. If you charge and you're normally initiative 1, now all of a sudden you're initiative 10, effectively, because nobody's going to be going, or I'm sorry, initiative 11, because I don't think anybody does go initiative. But then of course, like you could have like your older abilities, such as like counterattack, could be like that one change to where it's like, okay,
so you know what I really like, by the way, they've done Age of Sigmar.
Anyway, it's all wish listing.
Is all of the rules essentially are there for free. There's some formations or whatever the hell they're called behind paywalls and things like that, but what they've done is they've regularly released fluff updates with new rules and new missions, kind of like our Gathering Storm books. And I would be, if I had my basic units rules available for free, and every few months they released a hardback book, or every month they released a hardback book with a fluff update, some new missions, a new unit maybe, I would be happy.
So
I mean, all of us have bought all 3 essentially. Gathering. I think I bought.
I didn't buy the second one.
You didn't buy the second
one.
You bought the first and third. I bought all 3. I had no reason to buy the third. Like I have enough Imperials to do the first. I have no interest in running Girly Man. I kind of want to paint Girly Man, but I have no interest in running him. But like
lofty hair,
keeping that fluff part going, and that's something I'm looking forward to.
And the thing is, if you look at what they've been doing, even in 40K, when was the last time they released a codex for an army that wasn't new?
A couple months ago.
Which one?
Hybrids.
No, there wasn't
an army
new.
that wasn't
there
new.
wasn't a new
So
army.
they had the
when they
rebooted
rebooted one. I think it's the Tau
and the
or
Death Watch that came out.
No, because
Tau
was essentially the Kayun stuff plus the existing Tau. There was no updates to the rules. They had some new units.
But that was the last time it was like a new codex.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like they haven't been releasing codexes for any one of the existing armies. What they've been doing is they've been releasing these
supplements,
and not just supplements. They've also been releasing like the what are they called, the campaign books and stuff like that, and they have been super popular. So maybe what they realized was we can make a lot of money selling campaign books and supplements. We don't really need to make money off of the codexes anymore.
I will buy campaign supplements all day.
So going back to what we do know, one of the things that they did mention in there, and I don't know if it's on their campaign or the community site, was that they're going to change the way they do FAQs. And they're going to...
I never even heard about this.
It's actually... I think I've talked to you about it, but I probably didn't use those words. But what they're going to do is...
the words, fuck you,
Phil. Hey, Phil, where's the photograph I need for this design?
Also FAQs. What?
I understand that.
So what they want to do is the Warhammer community site is going to basically be kind of like a living FAQ / forum for people to discuss rules. And so people would go up there, they would say, hey, how does Deep Strike work? People would be like, yo, this is my interpretation of Deep Strike. And then you have like votes, so people would be like, yeah, that's right. So kind of like
Reddit or something where you can upvote.
Or like a lot of the like Yahoo questions or whatever.
Yes.
Ask.com or whatever. So you have stuff like that. So people are like
Ask.com.
Ask Jeeves.
so rank it up, and if it's like if they end up seeing like a translation that isn't the same, and then they're like, people are like, well, this is the way it should work, but that's Bobby Cock. It should, you should throw down your China cast drop pod, and then you could just deploy from any fragment. Then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, I got 943 ups. All right, I guess we'll start using China cast resin. So that was kind of the thing, is like, I think with the FAQs and like the rules, it sounds like it's going to be more of like a living thing, and it's going to be more like how the ITC uses their ruling system.
Oh, nice.
Much more democratic.
I could see that with the votes and everything. I could see that being very cool.
And
although we might end up with Space Wolves just being known as Wolfie McWolfface.
It should be okay. But I know that they were they've been
to orc players who speak in goddamn orc speak. Oh god.
If you actually wah, you get double the result.
Oh god, no.
And John burns his orc army.
At least let us film it if you're going to do that.
Chris, no, you know how long it takes to paint 120 boys?
No, I don't, because I don't hate myself.
It's ridiculous. Jeez, they'll call
So
now I hate myself.
But Yeah, GW's been like, I think there's been like the
Sure.
they've admitted there's been an acceptance of the ITC, and I think they have definitely been working very closely with Reese.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the guys from Adepticon and Nova.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Which is
definitely.
awesome.
It's kind of getting all, and I think the ETC guys as well. I know last year we interviewed the guy Zach from the London GT.
That's right.
Warhammer Live is going to them this year. I saw as well. So they're really working with the community to kind of give them the game they want to play.
It's cool.
So
I guess like that could go to that. I bring that up to almost like put some weight behind like what you're suggesting, that like with all the data scrolls and like everything else, like if they're gonna have like essentially a living rule book, why not just have like a series of
that'd be really cool. I could see that. I think that would be fantastic because they basically throw in the rule book in every single box set that they sell now. Like they're not making money selling the rule book.
No.
You know what I mean? They're printing them out. They're throwing them in every single box that they're putting out
dollar
there.
bills at a strip club.
Exactly. They're like, oh, I'm going to buy this like single model. He also comes with the
rule
book.
Okay. I kind of, it confuses me when people pull out the big rule book. Like, what the hell is that? Why are you bringing that
going
relic?
out and buying it, but at the same time, I haven't used it in.
I use the big rule book because the pages are more protected by the hardback cover.
Whatever,
what
nerd.
a nerd. We're just gonna have to take you out back and flush your head in the toilet.
Oh man, wait, I don't have a toilet out back.
Well, we'll find one.
So that was kind of your experience from their kind of sneak peek.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Seminar there.
So then we went and did ShadeSpire.
Okay, wait a second.
Warning: Age of Sigmar content. Warning: Age of Sigmar content.
So they it was really kind of interesting because they had gone and they had printed a whole bunch of copies. So the way ShadeSpire works, they had several tables laid out, and so they had a GW employee at just about each one, and you had about 4 people. Ultimately, it was Duncan Rhodes. I tried to sit down with Pete Foley because I did want to ask about the vehicle roles. So I was kind of like, I was trying to be political about it.
Hey Pete, will orcs be great or will they continue to be shitty?
So this is ShadeSpire.
Love you.
I like your hair.
Also, you have a horse face.
But
I was just
he's a
back.
stallion of gaming. He is a
Stallion.
stallion of gaming.
So I think there was a bunch of people that were playing at that table with Pete Foley. So after a while, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to gravitate over to Duncan. And he still had some people there. But
I was going to say,
people
how
rotated
was
out.
Duncan's table the least populated one?
It wasn't.
Okay.
But I just
this table actually had 2 tables.
2 thin tables.
Two thin tables that he was working.
So usually you would roll 1 dice, but we're going to roll 2d3.
2 thin. Okay, that was good.
So
you're welcome.
So so I went over there, and after a while, I waited just as I had with Pete Foley. And I'm like that guy that goes to the grocery store and like, God, this line sure is long. That one's moving faster. Go over to that one. Oh, this one's moving slower now. Shit, what am I doing? I better go over to the other one. Fuck, now that one's going faster.
9 hours later, Ted still can't buy his.
I want to play ShadeSpire.
ShadeSpire.
So I roved over and I was hanging out, and I think after a while, their games had wrapped up, and Duncan was just talking to people, and I was just standing there, and eventually I think one of the guys, some people had meandered over, like, oh, can we play? And I was like, oh, I was here. So I cock-blocked one of them, sat down, and but I think the game was
funnier if you would actually smacked him in the cock when he went to sit down. You're just like,
ah,
yeah, exactly.
My 9-incher.
Oh, he fell over. I guess.
I remember you.
All around. I like it.
Hashtag humble brag at Mob Rules Ted.
Hashtag humble brag.
So we sit down, and I ended up playing with a guy across the way. His name is Jeff. Oh man, it was.
Hi, Jeff.
Was he a custode?
He is not Jeff the custode. He is not a custode. He's a fan of the show. It turns out that he has a podcast as well called Chapter Approved.
No, I've heard of that one.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
And it's fairly new. But
wait, Chapter Approved?
Chapter Approved.
Okay.
He writes for a company doing basically what I do. So he sends spam.
Yeah.
So his is for a company, not a university. And he doesn't write code. But and he's also a Taurus. And I think we're a year apart. I think.
So they got married.
So we did. You're like, hey, you want to ditch the wife?
They're actually moving in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was like, oh man, this is great. We're like the same person, and we have beards, but I don't have mine anymore.
I shave mine off too.
I heard that he shaved his as well.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah,
hey, Jeff.
Wait, I'm the
Fucking
only
Jeff.
one with a beard now in this. That makes me feel weird.
Bizarre.
So you guys got to go find the Twitter handle for Chapter Approved and just say "fucking Jeff" #no beard.
I think that was like the picture that you had posted of Duncan, that guy with the beard and I. That was Duncan, Jeff, and I. So that was the other podcaster.
Nice.
So yeah, we ended up playing. It's I think it was Chaos versus Imperial Space Marines. Sigmarines.
Sigmarites?
Yeah,
Sigmarites.
So the mechanic was kind of interesting. I haven't played Gore Chosen, but Jeff was saying that there's some elements to Gore Chosen in there. So you have so many guys. You have, I think it was like 4 or 5 action tokens. You might have more action tokens than you have guys. You might have more guys than you have action tokens. But I think and you only have like 4 things you can do. I think you can draw a card from a deck. So there's a deck building element too. And you have 3 objectives. Once you
Please tell me you played this like you were Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh.
I've never seen Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Just hold me card up.
Camera's not.
Is that, how does Phil know this and I don't?
Jeff,
I
you
got a
have fallen
kid.
into my trap, for I have my best card ever. White Eyes Blue Dragon. Or Blue Dragon White Eyes, whatever it is.
9-inch Blue Dragon.
I don't know this.
There's like 1,000 nerds yelling there. Anyway, yes. So yeah, you draw a card.
So there's you have 3 objectives, and at the end of the turn, if you meet one of the objectives, you get to score a point or 2 points or whatever it may be. Then you have like a deck building portion, and I think like what they were saying was that you in a way it has like this X-wing kind of feel to it, where like you buy a new character and they're prefab. You can't buy them upgrades or anything for their guy, so you can't buy them a shotgun. But you would
no matter how sweet a mod you make of him.
like, dude, that's an ill shotgun. However, 20,000 years ago. But yeah, so you'd have your deck build, and that was, you'd buy that new character, and they would come with cards. So you can then bring those cards into your deck, so you could change your deck up using whatever. And some of them are relevant, some are not. There are a lot of them are like based on something is a reaction to something somebody else does. So you could have like a really sweet card that totally kills your opponent, so long as they're wearing a red shirt. But if they don't wear a red shirt, you're like, God damn it, I can't kill my opponent.
Really? So it's like based. Is it like based on that stuff? Like the original.
Not as silly as that, but it's like it's kind of like, okay, the person attacks you with this kind of weapon and does 2 damage. You can now use this card.
Okay.
But if they don't attack you with that weapon with 2 damage, then you can't use it.
So it's not like the thing is like if you have a mustache. You have to re-roll like the original Age of Sigmar.
No, they didn't have this. It was so far. But I think like a lot of the cards, like they had just printed them off, like not even like at a printer, like just at the shop. They printed them off. And it was on nice paper and everything. And then they were like, all right, employees, quickly get accustomed to this. Here's a quick understanding of the rules, and go teach a bunch of people how to play.
Nice.
Like I heard that from a couple different employees. They're like, "Yeah, we just learned the game today. We got off the plane."
Nice.
Welcome jet lag. Welcome new game system. It's like Gore Chosen. What are you fucking struggling for?
Yeah,
they traveled almost as far as Ted did.
Seriously. Yeah, I think like one of them. I remember talking to somebody. I can't remember who it was. They were complaining about their flight. Like, yeah, I know how you feel.
Yeah, that's my first connection. Thanks very much.
I have to say, in defense of the UK guys, you never realize the scale of travel in America until you've traveled in America. Because I would bitch about a 15-minute bus ride.
I was gonna say, because I keep hearing people like over there, they're like, "Oh man, the closest GW is too far away. It's like a half an hour drive," and I'm like,
in the UK that costs £17,000.
That's because you guys buy your petrol by the liter.
Oh man, memories.
Who does that?
So ShadeSpire.
So ShadeSpire, it was a lot of fun. The models looked really nice.
The mechanic
it's a
of the
deck
deck
building.
building and the models,
I'm
exactly
super
like X-Wing.
You could essentially activate somebody multiple times. So that was what was that, Calth, or was that? Yeah, I think it was like Calth. I think there was like you could activate. But I think there was still a limit.
Kind of like Infinity.
I was going to say.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
Infinity, where you have so many orders that you can spend on one person.
You can keep spending them on the same person. Yeah, that's cool.
But I think there were some that were just like ended it. Like if you,
Sorry, I like this on the cork.
If you charged blitzed in Blood Bowl, so if you like ran forward and attacked as one action, that was the end of their actions. Like that guy couldn't make any more actions. So you could stack it only so much. But if you want to just like move somebody all the way way down the field, you could. And you go back and forth. So you roll for initiative, and that just means that person moves the first person, then you can move somebody, then so on.
Okay. So it's
pretty
alternating activation. That's
yeah.
cool.
I'm excited for that.
And I think like they were saying, like they really want to push this as like a mainstay game. It's not, and they were really excited about it. Like they were really hyped.
And I think they were trying to push it as a competitive game.
Oh, right.
Like almost a Magic the Gathering style game.
It sounds like it, because that's what X-Wing has become, like a competitive thing.
Yeah,
where people build their decks.
I was really surprised that they weren't going to do like a CCG kind of thing to it. I mean, it kind of has like some aspects, but it doesn't have like that random card pack.
It's more like a
kind of
living card game kind of thing.
I feel it falls back to kind of what GW. A couple of years ago said they're a model company.
Yeah,
that sells games, not a gaming company that sells models.
Right.
So I feel like even though that would have worked really well as just a card game.
No, I'm not saying just as a card game. I'm saying like have a CCG element to where like your cards, you would also get them in packs. You have to buy the models too, but then also have like your random packs.
And it's not going to be like that.
No, so you would go and buy a new character pack, and that would come with prefixed cards like X-Wing.
Like X-Wing.
Like
Yeah. Oh, then that's definitely that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Because then, I know from playing X-Wing, I've went and bought like a bunch of shitty ships I don't need just to get the cards out of it.
Right.
It's a good business model.
Yeah, and it's something that anybody could use. So
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So, but it was a lot of fun. I think they're going to have it. They're going to create, at some point, they're going to make it to where you can have 4. So you'd put like 2 boards together, sets of boards. So you could have like a 4-on-4. And they also did say that like if this does really well, then they would entertain the idea of bringing it to 40K.
Yeah.
So
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And there really wasn't a whole lot of. I think like. They were suggesting that Armageddon Shadow War was not something that they were going to view in the same way. I think there is an expansion down the road, but I think it's like a 1.5 and done.
Because it's
they're not reprinting it.
Yeah,
it's sold out. They will be releasing the rules separately. The terrain pieces from inside it are also going to be released separately.
That's going on pre-sale this Saturday.
That's going on pre-sale tomorrow, or because everyone listens live.
That's right. Yes, this tomorrow.
Come on, Phil. No release dates. So that's super cool because it looks like. Honestly, I'm still super happy I have all my card Necromunda terrain because although the ShadeSpire, the Shadow War stuff looks good, to me it's not. Like I prefer the old Necromunda stuff, like the terrain and the layout and stuff like that. There,
yeah.
I feel with the stuff that you get in the Shadow Wars box, that's
you said Shitty Wars.
That's
the alcohol.
The Shitty Wars. You need.
I don't even care about this war. Fuck this war.
I'm off tomorrow and I have to be up at 7 a.m. to go to a town an hour away to talk to kids about video editing and shooting film because they have a bunch of kids who are going to Puerto Rico and they want to make video postcards.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, hey, I heard you edit video. I'm like, yeah, very occasionally. Could you talk to the kids about what to do? So, yeah, I have to go out to do that tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Have fun.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it's essentially all I'm going to do. And this is if you were about a YouTuber as well. Prepare. I'm going to tell the kids before you even step on that plane, know exactly what you want to shoot and where. And to me, for me personally, and this is gonna, a little aside, putting together a video is like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. You need the box front to see what the completed picture is. And essentially, all you're doing is going Pokemon style and hunting down all of the different parts to put together when you come back. Otherwise, you're just blindly shooting shit.
I think voicing over a bunch of photos is the way to go. Take all your pictures from your iPhone.
So I do have an appointment with a bunch of 8th graders, a bunch of 8th and 9th graders tomorrow. So late middle school kids. And then when they get back from Puerto Rico or Costa Rica or wherever the hell they're going.
Some land.
Mexico.
Some land. I'm going to sit with them when they're putting together their films.
Oh, cool.
I'm on iMovie.
Cool.
And kind of do that there. So I earned a couple drinks tonight because I'm going to do that tomorrow. But
this story brought to you by
this story brought to you by Glenn Fiddick. God, if you want to sponsor me, my lord, I will wear your t-shirts at work. Shadow Wars though, like the kit inside the box looks good. To me, that isn't an entire table's worth. Nowhere near.
I'm curious to see what it's going to look like because I think that I've heard mixed stories. I've heard that
a whole table's worth, is it?
I don't know.
And see, my problem is Necromunda. Yeah, it was card terrain with
ton of stuff,
plastic bulkheads, but you had an entire table's worth in a box.
Well, we ended up. I think I ended up getting like 2 boxes of Necromunda back in the day, and that was like I think like 2 boxes was Ample's.
So I have a Necromunda box. I have the what was the expansion pack called? Outlanders box, and now I'm gonna have that. So I have enough for Tablesworth. But yeah.
But I think that I think with this one, I'd be curious to see, because I think it's when I've seen it, it looked a particular way, and I've also heard that the pictures, there's more terrain than what the pictures indicate. Although that's not usually the case,
really
it doesn't make sense. But if somebody says that, I'm going to hold judgment until I.
But
see it myself.
it's like I can.
But I think the point is or one of the things that I'm interested about is looking at pictures of how it's modular and how that whole system works is really interesting and unique, and could lend itself very well to a more diverse table than what the
That's I can add my Promethean pipes, I can add my board shield, I can add my hemotrope reactors and all that other kind of stuff there. So it's not a big deal. But
also, did you see that one that they released the picture where they had the multi-level?
Oh the oil rig,
offshore oil rig.
Yeah, that comes in the box.
Pieces. All those, it comes in the box if you bought 30 of them. Which is why it's
that made me realize. That made me think
higher
of
industrial light magic.
10.
Oh,
it's just in which I'm about 3/4 of the way through now.
Oh wow!
And also spoiler alerts for Beast Arises series, which is spoiled in this month. This month's White Dwarf, Armageddon is actually Eleanor.
Ooh!
It was just renamed to Armageddon.
Oh, interesting! I didn't know
so
that.
I thought that was super super cool, and also explains to me why the orcs don't fucking leave it alone.
Oh, okay.
Because they keep going back there. Because it's actually Eleanor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
that's neat.
So we're super excited for 8th edition 40K.
Yeah.
Super excited for ShadeSpire.
Yeah.
Super excited for Shadow Wars.
Yeah.
And people. I'm sorry,
Shadows.
but
super excited for
this is
Good
your
Guy GW.
Oh, I got to go through the Shadow Wars box.
Oh yeah. You got a nice unboxing video up there with one of our friends. Sterling.
Right. So that was through the campaign kit, and unfortunately we didn't get the box early, but I think we still got to flip through the rules and kind of look at it.
Sure.
We didn't spend too much time dredging through it, but. I mean, it's looking really good. It definitely looks like Necromunda light, but not too light. It looks like it's heavy Necromunda, but just slight of all the strange things that could happen, like your eye poked out. Or something
I watched a battle report Mini Wargaming did.
I saw on
who I don't know those guys.
I don't know. Sponsor us, please.
They're sort of like the Glacial Geek, except better.
They're like the Glacial Geek of Canada.
You had me a Glacial Geek.
Yeah, they're like Canadian Glacial Geeks, so they apologize a lot more.
So I was watching this battle report that they were doing, and just Necromunda memories flooding back. If you go down beside a ledge, that you could fall, or if you roll a 1 when going to hit, and your model, a friendly model, is in that line, then you could hit them. All that cool stuff right there.
Yeah.
Bottle tests and all kinds of good stuff, and it's just I am going to be all over. I'm going to get my orcs out.
Yeah.
Because I already have everything painted. Orcs are coming out of retirement. Shadow War is going to be huge for me. I'm very, very excited for that. Because, also, I was talking about it to both you guys this week, actually.
Yeah.
I want a little bit of a 40K burnout from the end of 7th edition. I'm really hopeful for 8th. I'm excited for 8th. But I think I'm pretty much done with 7th.
Oh, okay. It needs a refresher, for sure.
It needs a refresher. It really does. And it's I'm getting excited for Blood Bowl, ShadeSpire, Shadow Wars. I'm so excited for.
Yeah.
Because I have 3 or 4 armies worth of stuff for Shadow Wars right off the bat to go.
If you have any army,
you have a Shadow Wars force.
And that's the thing they were talking about. When you were saying the half expansion.
Yeah.
Apparently, what they were saying they were looking at, because of the response that people have been getting, of expanding into other factions to include them in there. Because there were a lot of people that were like, where's my, where are my sisters, where are my Inquisition, and they were like, all right, well, this has been way more of a response than we even expected, so maybe we'll take a step back. And that's why they, even before they released the box itself, they were like, here's a whole bunch of army rules that are special and free.
I have to build
that way you can take whatever you want.
shotguns now for this. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, I think it's weird that the original, my understanding was that they weren't going to support it beyond one expansion.
Yeah.
Especially when you do look at the box, the rule book is 120 something pages thick. I mean, it's a fat fucking book. And to think that that's it, you're going to put out this tome and a whole bunch of other supplements and other aspects to it, and then there's counters that come in it. There's a ton of stuff that goes into it. And then I look back at games like Renegades, where it was 4 pages. The whole rules is 4 pages.
Yeah,
and that was including.
It's like a tiny little pamphlet.
Yeah,
so much fun.
So
much fun. But
it tells me that there was this was a labor of love, and it's I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm excited.
the testament
I'm
of
excited too.
cells will show them like it's
I'm
time
sure.
to-
Yeah.
But so yeah, the game was a lot of fun, and I got to talk to Duncan
Nice.
at that point, which should end
I
up
believe-
becoming a
please,
reoccurring
please,
theme.
Please refer to him by his proper name, our Lord Duncan.
Our Lord and Savior Duncan.
But that was a blast. I think like he was
the two thin
Though I
cuts.
failed him with my shitty paint job on my Inari.
Oh. Did he say so?
womp. No.
Okay.
I'm just salty about
Yeah,
YouTube
he's
comments.
super salty.
Super salty.
John's
But-
not used to being on a YouTube channel.
Oh
No. Okay, so I'm used to being on a YouTube channel, but usually I
you're
play
not.
kind of like funner and fluffier
Oh,
lists against Phil.
Okay.
But Phil asked to play against my Inari.
Specifically asked him to bring his Inari.
Specifically asked me to bring
his
my
new stuff.
Inari.
Okay.
So the two things he asked for was against my Inari and to bring the avatar of the Avatar Vanid.
Okay.
So I brought those two things, and then a very, very, very competitive Inari list,
Okay.
and just the salt floweth over.
Because I played it poorly.
To
John
be fair,
played it just the way they are.
I played it well, and I
Yes.
have a lot of practice with the list I played against you. And you made a couple of huge
Very
tactical
huge
mistakes,
tactical mistakes.
and then had some really shitty dice. Like, and you did have some really
That's
bad
not
dice.
surprisingly for Phil rolling.
But like one of the comments was like, why did you even play against this army? I hate when it all costs players doing really shitty paint jobs on their models just to get them on the table and like all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry I hurt you with my painting.
yeah.
And so,
So
yeah.
It brought out a lot of the salt. So
Bro,
yeah.
that's all. I'm very happy. I'm gonna get Nari back on your channel soon.
So that's why he's going into Blood Bowl. But yes. So salt. That was the salt segment of the.
that was the
episode.
salt. I apologize
Yeah.
for bringing salt to your friendly place.
But yes. But yeah. I think I don't know. I'm just excited. So how did you enjoy the rest of?
Yeah, what
Adepticon?
else
Oh,
happened
yeah,
at
it was
Adepticon?
good.
Because you
It
had
was
like a
good.
recurring theme with Duncan over the time.
Okay. Yeah, it was good. We played games and went to classes, and yeah, it was good.
You presented him with a gift.
Yeah. So we, I think towards the very end, we had a painting class, and yeah, we Tim and I cooked up a Duncan meme shirt, and
Yeah, a cool one.
presented that, and he got a kick out of it, and got a picture with him on it.
I saw. Yeah, we put that out there.
Yeah, he was excited about that.
Yeah, he was
That
very
looked
excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Super cool. Well, let's cut to a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Adepticon talk.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Earl Hagen was a legend. In 1960, he whistled his way into Hollywood and into our hearts. Decades later, he made a comeback, lending those lustrous lips in the 1980s to such bands as the Scorpions, Guns N' Roses, and Pat Benatar. A half-century after his humble beginnings, he's at it again. This time without cumbersome musical accompaniment, he'll have you wetting your whistle and whistling along. His new album, Earl Whistles Disney, is sure to be a hit with all generations. Order now and receive a bonus album, Earl Whistles More Shit, a collection of previously unreleased material of Earl's favorite songs through the years. On this bonus album, he demonstrates his newly mastered technique of inward whistling. Order yours today on compact disc or double-length cassette. Also available at fine retailers such as Walgreens, CVS, and participating Sam Goody stores. Earl Whistles Disney. Buy it today.
And we're back. All right, so that was a slightly edited but fun GW seminar, and that was your Wednesday. So tell us about Thursday.
So Thursday, I mean, we just had it was a lot of classes. I think that we ended up with, we ended up getting together with Peter. Met Reese, took a class with him.
Nice.
And it
What
was
class was that?
we got to take the Black Library. Oh my gosh! So I think I talked a little bit to you about the Black Library.
And we had that great video on the YouTube channel about kind of your recap of that Black Library seminar.
Yeah. So I think like that was kind of neat because we did have like a whole bunch of people coming in. We had Peter was there, I gave him like a huge crazy. They were talking about like how like what the difference is between like writing for audio dramas versus like novels. I know like Peter does his like audio dramas. Like, so what's the difference between writing for the two of them? And he's like, oh, this, and kind of throwing Peter a bone. And I think at some point is like, yeah, you should listen to NGC 40K and see what their audio dramas.
He does a great job with his audio dramas on that. There, it's really, really cool.
Yeah. So I think that was really kind of fun. And I think like afterwards we had Reese. Reese kind of came up to us. It was like Peter and I, and I think like Andy kind of came up, and I think it was a couple of people from the Eagle Ordinary. You got that coloring book.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, let's start a writing circle. And so we'll start a writing circle.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we talked a little bit about like LVO. What that was about, but I think like some of the cool takeaways, and I would love to have Andy on to like discuss this with people.
Sure.
But I think that like some of the things that I think like, when you and I, Phil, you and I were like applying, sending stuff down to Black Library, there was. We did it all wrong.
Okay.
He was saying like some of our like the submission things.
Oh man.
And that's fine. You know, like in a way, I think like it's better that we did things all wrong versus like we just suck as writers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were talking about like how most people don't focus. You know, everybody's trying to change the world with their writing. They're like they want to have that really cool idea. Like he had a anecdote about like when he was 17 and pitched a story, and he was like, yeah, and the whole thing is like the guardsmen have extra long las rifles, sniper rifles, and they're like, okay, so what's the story about? A las rifle, long las rifles. They're like, yeah, so what's the story? You don't get it. And he was just like burned for like years, like, oh, long las rifles are sniper rifles. So like that was something like people kept, you know, we get like a thing, this idea, and then like that's the story. Like, well,
and so I think something that like that goes into the video that you put up there is kind of not being kind of an artist as a writer, but being a kind of a craftsman. You're kind of given the tools and you're given the materials already. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just kind of need to tell stories in their world, and that's kind of the important thing for kind of the Black Library writers or submission people to do.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, in the end, like, and that was kind of like something I was, you know, like something ticked right there is like, dude, you're not an artist, you're an artisan. You know, that's the difference, is like you're an employee.
That's not necessarily a bad thing at all. No.
Yeah. And I think like that was something he said is like, we're not artists.
Yeah.
Like is you know, like, okay, so I mean, you have a job, like you come to the your work, you clock in. I mean, of course, like with Aaron Debski-Bowden and some other people, they don't exactly clock in, but they're still like they're turning out a product for their boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that was really important, is like, you know, it's not so much about like what you could do that's going to like blow people away, but yeah, like how are you going to get people to right. Exactly. Like how you're saying. So
yeah, I remember hearing kind of from kind of an old seminar or conference when they were talking about like the Black Library stuff.
Okay.
About some guy who submitted something, and the editors came back at him and they were like, well, you know, the story's okay, but this would never happen. This doesn't happen. Oh no, it happens with my guys. This is how it goes.
Oh,
like no,
it's not your guys.
You don't dictate that. They're not your guys. You're creating a product, which I mean, I love Black Library stories. I love kind of the Space Marine battles and kind of the bolter porn. But you're doing that to sell models and to help sell models.
Yeah,
you're still creating stories and you're still doing it kind of like, but you're doing it within some constraints and limitations. And as a writer, honestly, having those limitations is good. It kind of focuses you and it gets you there. Yeah. But you still kind of have to play within those rules. And I think that's something. I think a lot of kind of amateur writers who kind of submit the stuff, they're like, I will be noticed because mine will be different than everyone else's.
Right.
And that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for a great story within the universe that they have. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to tell a great story. You just have to be able to kind of tell something within the context of either the Age of Sigmar kind of multiverse or kind of the Warhammer 40,000 universe.
Yeah, I think the one guy was mentioning there. He's like, you know, how many times do we look at like 40K fan fiction sites and like somebody's trying to sum up what the Tyranid hive mind is in 90 pages or less? It's like if we wanted to do that, we would have done it. But
and I feel really bad because there was a guy who was writing fluff and he asked for feedback and he wanted to have the Tyranid hive mind appear to a Space Marine as a small child. And kind of my response is that would never happen. That's dumb. And I'm like, I don't want to kill your creativity, but like play within the rules of the sandbox you're given. Don't, reinvent the wheel. Tyranid's emotions is nom 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 nom. Beyond that, there is no emotion. There is no, like, treat them like a force of nature. There's no reasoning. There's no reason for them to want to talk to you. Like when you're served a McDonald's hamburger, you don't want to hear a soliloquy. Like, you're not going to talk to it and be like, oh yes, and this is why I will eat you now. For I am you just eat the damn thing. And that's kind of the thing. It's just, you have to have a solid grasp and understanding of that. And that's like you said, the craftsman thing there.
Yeah. It's sort of like if you're designing cars for Ford. They're not looking for you to make an airplane. They want a car.
They want a car. Exactly. Yeah.
You can make it look fancy. You can make it drive cool. You can have innovations within the confines of it being a car, but they want a car.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they don't want they don't want you to be like, all right, here's the new Ford car. It's a helicopter. And it's like,
isn't that clever?
Yeah. It's
the car's a helicopter.
Yeah, it can actually fly. It's like that's.
I added like 17 cup holders in there. Great. And wings. No.
Yeah. 17 cup holders sounds good. It's got like flashing lights.
Do you know
excellent,
my car?
But it's got wings. No, that's not a car anymore. That's now an airplane.
My car
but
literally has 10 cup holders.
Wow.
Nice.
Your
2,
truck.
4, 6. 10 cup holders.
America.
I need half of that. America. Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine that was stationed in Germany who was like, there's no cup holders in cars.
Yeah.
You're going 195 on the freeway. Like, you don't want a cup holder.
Yeah.
That's an American thing.
So what else kind of went on at the Black Library Center?
I think that was a big takeaway. I think the other thing that he really kind of tried to hammer home, and it was really hard to get him, like, kind of corner him and find out what exactly he means, but on this is that you have to have a solid elevator pitch. You need to have like one sentence that sells the idea. And I think that, like, the guy sitting next to me was like, well, I submitted a story, and my thing was it the Ultramarine captain finds his humanity on the battlefield, and he's like,
but they're not humans.
and actually that was something that he brought up, but. Regardless, it was like, I mean, that sounds good,
right.
But like, how does that tell the story? I think it was like his next point was like, well, what does that say? Like, how? Like, what? Give me more. I think, like, that's a nice subtext to like a movie title, but yeah, it doesn't sell the story. Yeah. So of course he like asked like lots of questions to it, but I was trying to figure out, like, well, what is like a good pitch story, like an elevator pitch, like what is a good one-liner? What did you write for Son's Burden? He's like, well, I already had the job, so I didn't have to. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, it's kind of like the easiest way to write elevator pitches, and I've done it a lot for kind of like sales and stuff like that.
Okay,
is you kind of, if you go through existing books, try to sub it up in one line, like what that story is about. And then once you're done kind of doing that, you're able to kind of get a better grasp on what an elevator pitch is, or what grasps you, or like if you choose your favorite books, like, and you can describe it in a line, what pulls that and grasps you. And the important thing about it is they get so many pitches and so many, like, this is my 6-page short story. If you times that by like 300, that is like what, 1,800 pages of stuff to read. Yeah. They're going to go through, like, this is my short description of what the story is, and if it grabs them, they're going to read it, but if it doesn't, they're not. So it's got to be something that kind of succinctly sums up the story in a sentence. And it's hard to do, but it's the most important part of a submission is that one line that kind of lets the reader know what they're in for.
And something he pointed out.
Also, don't give away the goddamn ending in your elevator pitch. Yeah.
But something he pointed out was that they only have, I think he said there's only 3 editors on the entire staff.
Yeah.
3 editors.
There's 3.
And there's 3 editors have to look through all those submissions, and they literally get thousands of them every time that they do an open call. So, I mean, you're getting thousands of pitches that 3 people have to sort through while they're editing books, while they're having to, like, read, Gav Thorpe, John French's, et cetera, et cetera.
So that's why it's so important. You really think they're going to give 100% attention if you have a really shitty sentence? Like, I don't know, orc finds dying boy on battlefield.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that tells me nothing. So yeah, it's kind of, it's your attention grab. It's your headline in a newspaper article. It's what you need to kind of get out there. Yeah,
I told him I was going to do a rom-com with Sisters Battle and Orcs, and he said that was a bad idea.
Yeah, that's bad. One of those doesn't have genitals.
I'm sure you can find a place on, like, what is it, 4D-chan?
Yeah. Tumblr.
Mushroom Top. Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun. I'd love to get him on and like just talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think like that whole idea of the elevator pitch, like I'm still trying to like, what exactly is it? You know, what
it's a short paragraph or sentence, which is like a summary of the story.
Yeah, but what makes a successful one? I mean, can you give me an example of like a successful?
It's a way to kind of hook the reader in and kind of get intrigue. So I mean,
the idea of the elevator pitch was always like, if you walked onto an elevator and the person that you wanted to buy your product walked in with you, and you had the time between when that door shut and it opened on 3 floors later, that you wanted, they wanted to buy it.
I get that, but I think like I guess I want to see like a successful one, so I guess like take it apart and like, okay, this is like what does it.
The back of books.
Yeah, that's your elevator pitch.
That when you look at the back of the books, that paragraph or whatever, like giving the description of what this is going to be.
Yeah.
The thing that makes you as like the reader want to, to want to go and read it. Like why do you, when you pick up a book from the Black Library, what makes you want to read that one versus like dozens of others?
It's the cover art.
There you go. Yes, that's fair enough. And the cover art can sometimes be the pitch, because those are sort of like,
they totally are the pitch.
They tell you the story. Where like, you know, like this one, you pulled up the Legion of the Damned. You look there and it's like, all right, there's a bunch of Legion of the Damned guys shooting at a bunch of chaos demons.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's your pitch, and it's like.
Sold.
We're
not sold.
Yeah, and then you go into a bit more detail with, you know, it's like, why are they there? Where are they? That kind of thing.
So with our submissions, we should be allowed to have pictures,
or like the back of a movie box, like you know, back in the day. And I'm sorry about this, kind of millennials and kids, but when you would go to a Blockbuster and you would kind of go to find a movie and like, oh, what am I going to watch tonight? And you would read the back of the box. That's your elevator pitch for that movie.
Or the Netflix entry.
Or the Netflix entry now. Thank you, millennial.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Send us to the kids. It's an attention grabber. And it really determines how much attention that writer or that editor is going to spend on your submission. If you have a really great pitch, they're going to pay a lot more attention to it and spend a lot more time reading it.
Because the thing is, like, if you have a really confusing epic story that takes a lot to get into for people to understand, people aren't going to pick up that book.
Yeah.
People aren't going to buy that book. You know what I mean? Because you need to. The reason that the elevator pitch thing works for the books is because they can say, if I was sold on that from your pitch, then we can put that on the back of a book and people will buy the book because it's on there. You know? So that's what I think it's supposed to be. It's like, can you summarize what you want to write in a way that's going to make people want to buy this book? Because, you know, there's a lot of books out there that you can spend $17 on. If you're going to spend $17 on this book, you know, why? Tell me why I should spend $17 on this book. And if I have to read the whole book to know why I should spend $17 on this book, I'm probably not going to buy the book.
Because I mean, we've read books where like even when you get to the end, you're like, okay, I'm done. It's over. I've read the story. I'm good. But we've also read books where within the first chapter, we're like, okay, what happens next? And really, that's your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
After reading that paragraph, you should be like, what happens next? And like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to read that anymore.
Yeah. So that all makes sense. But I guess I'm just like waiting for like the breakdown of like what, you know, like adjective, verb,
I don't think there's any.
So I guess I want to see the example of it
of what a good elevator pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And have it like correlate. But I think that maybe that's just, you know, it's out there. I'm sure I could YouTube that.
It's out there somewhere.
Instead of looking at boards and the latest Trump
memes.
Yeah.
TrumpMemes.com.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man,
there's water on the table. I spilled water. So I think that was the end of Andy Smiley. I didn't really see him much. We did try to hang out with him at the bar, and because I think like my buddy Peter, he was like, "Oh man, I gotta put a word in. I gotta get him to listen to Frozen Heresy."
Sure.
Like he was really kind of pushing that for the Frozen Heresy thing. Like, oh man, he's got to listen to it.
He worked super hard on that.
And it's amazing, and it's
really
I think it's
well
like
done.
It needs more press. It needs even more press. So we ended up like he was totally fanboying. It was awesome. He was like, "Oh God, all right, I gotta go up there. Gotta get the courage. I'm like, you can do it, man. You can do it." I think we eventually go up there. He's like, "How should I do this? Hey Andy, No, don't do that.
So you did the How You Met Your Mother, Have You Met Ted?
So he was like, by the way, you got to hear this, like, if you get a chance, listen to Frozen Heresy. He took the Frozen soundtrack and, like, redid it with, like, the Horus Heresy. And he's like, oh, cool. And he pulled out his phone and, like, wrote it down. And
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm going to listen to that.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
I was like, dude, that is awesome.
Because I think a lot of the guys at 40, like at Games Workshop, are fans of the worlds. They're fans of the universe. They're fans of what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're probably consuming a lot of the same stuff too.
Fast forward, so other stuff happens. Games
Smash
happen.
cut, too.
The painting seminar with
Sure.
Duncan Rose. Just to touch on that a little bit, I was in the room with Carl, Adon,
Sure.
both of them from Independent Characters, and Dave from Garage Hammer.
Oh, man.
And so we're all sitting around painting the new squats. And I think they were talking about the lore.
Oh, the Caradon Overlords.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
The translation. But I think Duncan was like, yeah, man, I really liked, turned to Dave from Garage Hammer. He's like, I really liked your interpretation of some Age of Sigmar thing. So I guess he'd been reading excerpts from the books on his show. So yeah, I mean, the team, they're listening, they're watching us almost as much as we're watching them.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I was gonna say probably more so in their
Probably,
case
yeah,
than
more so, yeah.
ours. That's cool.
Yeah. We've seen more Hammer TV's numbers.
Yeah. So that was awesome. I loved it's cool sitting in that room. It was like, damn. I got Carl. I've listened to so many hours of his voice.
Yeah.
I know about his personal life. And Adon, I know him. I don't know this Dave guy, but I'm sure I will at some point. And there we have Roger from the community team and Duncan. These are people that have been in my world for a while. And
Yeah.
we're just painting a little figurine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
And you gave him the T-shirt, right?
yeah, so I was wearing the meme shirt, and I thought there was at the end of it, there was going to be a competition for whoever had the best Duncan meme shirt. I was the only one wearing a shirt, and I don't think he noticed it.
It was a self-created competition. Yeah.
Basically. So I was wearing the shirt, and then I brought an extra one. And I talked to James. I've got to know the Forge World guys pretty intimately.
Yeah.
And I think right beforehand, he handed me a Sharpie. He's like, get him to sign your shirt. So I brought the Sharpie with me.
Nice.
So at the end, hey man, I got something for you. My buddy Tim and I put it together. And he's like, oh my gosh, he was genuinely beside himself.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
the entire thing. You can probably see the pictures on our Facebook.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really excited. And everybody around was like, what the fuck? And I think I had mine on. I was like, man, I got to get a picture of you holding that shirt. So he was holding it up just so I could send it to Tim.
Quite red. It was amazing.
He's like, oh gosh. And I got a picture of it. And then some other guy walked up. He's like, man, you want a picture with Duncan? Oh, okay, sure. So I got a picture. And then I think it just started this Congo line of people getting selfies with Duncan. People that weren't even in the class started showing up. I'm like,
Duncan's just like, damn you, Ted.
how'd you get it out on Facebook so fast? And send.
Hashtag leaks.
So yeah, it was. And I tried to hold back a little bit because I brought a whole bunch of dreadnoughts that I wanted to show him because we'd been talking during the ShadeSpire thing about conversions and how he loves doing conversions, but he doesn't get to really do them very often.
Yeah.
And I mentioned why don't you do that on the channel? And he's like, well, I did once. Oh right, the Blood Bowl guy.
Yeah, he did a bunch of the Blood Bowl teams.
Oh, that's right.
Those, yeah.
He was like, yeah, but I think there's a kind of an unspoken thing that if you do a conversion on the channel, that you're basically saying that the model isn't perfect, that the model can be improved, and he's like, we don't want to do that, or that's kind of what they're saying. But
they even talked about that when they had the photographer from Games Workshop came on. It was on Warhammer TV.
Oh, okay.
And he was talking about how the pictures, they can't change the color. The actual models that are being focused on, they can't do color shifts. It's got to be exactly the way it's painted because that's supposed to be the exact proper way that they're supposed to be.
And you were saying that they brought in fog machines too instead of digital fog machines,
yeah,
right?
everything is done as much as possible.
Kind of a live action.
In camera. And they do a bunch of different multiple shots where they take, progressive it's basically you just take progressive shots of it.
Exposures?
No, it's focus. Changing the focus from the front of the model back to the back over the course of a bunch of pictures. And then you digitally compose it in there so that the whole model is in focus, but you can separate it from the background.
HDR.
Yeah, it's I've seen the process other people do it, because what it allows you to do is you have a very narrow depth of focus, and you just progressively shoot it back so that that narrow depth of field takes in the whole model. But then you just have just the model that you want to be super sharp in focus, and everything else can be blurred out and out of focus. So you really control the exact depth of field that you want for the picture.
So there's no masking in Photoshop or any of that jazz.
None of that. It's just that they've got those.
stitches.
You can put it together and you just stitch it together so that only the model is in focus. Wow. And that's how they can get like every part of that model is in focus, and then you've got the background which is perfectly out of focus. So still getting to see it with some detail, but not drawing focus away from the actual.
That's bananas.
Yeah,
that's really working this thing to the nth degree.
Yeah, really specific how they do that stuff. Yeah, but they said that they can't change the coloring on the models at all because that's supposed to be the Canon color for those models.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what was intended.
Yeah, that's what is intended.
Damn you, designers, get away from this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be so people can copy that paint color scheme and be like, why isn't my blue that blue?
It's like it is because it's the exact same blue that you can buy on that shelf.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I got to show them the dreadnoughts finally. I think
Nice.
it edged down, and like all the people from outside the classroom that snuck in left, and that was kind of neat because like he kind of geeked over like some of those, like the conversions, and maybe because they don't get to do as many, but
Sure.
he was saying like with a lot of those, he's like, yeah, dude, if you guys want to see conversions, please. He was like almost begging. I think there was like a couple of us standing there.
Yeah,
He's
please
like,
ask for them.
please ask, and like if we see enough of these requests, we'll do conversions too. So we all like, all right, well, we're gonna create about 20 different Facebook accounts and be asking for conversions.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to see that too, I think I asked them about the on the YouTube channel, or not the YouTube, but the Facebook channel. Like asked them about the Armageddon terrain packs. Like, hey man, can you show us some conversion potential with this? And they were like, we love this idea, and like a bunch of people chimed in. So
that's awesome.
If you add to it, it'll happen.
Nice.
Just got to ask.
Yeah.
New GW.
Yeah.
How they're operating. Good guy GW. I like it. I think it's awesome.
So, but yeah, I think that was Adepticon. Eventually, got to head back home and
go back to real life, right?
Yeah, it's fun today. Cool. I recommend it. It was a lot of fun.
I gotta say, I'm jealous. I think Adepticon was a better choice than LVO. It caters to a different audience.
Yeah.
And they're both good in their own ways, but kind of seeing your Adepticon experience, I kind of wish I'd done that instead.
You're right. It's absolutely different. I mean, the scale is different too. I mean, the vendor hall, I think like you could look at like the vendor hall as like almost like a sample of like the scale of it. Like the vendor hall at LVO was about a dozen or so people. The vendor hall at Adepticon was many dozens. And I think that was it. Like who's going to spend money to show up at Adepticon to hawk their wares? This can be those people, like that are going to make them, So I think that was cool, and just like having an event that like ran from like ass crack of morning to midnight, and then there's like after hours, and it was like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days long.
Sure. Yeah.
And like everybody was there. So I think in a lot of ways, like I kind of see this almost like the way I see like the Alcan Highway. Like if you're ever going to drive the Alcan Highway, drive to Alaska, don't drive to Canada. Because like you're going to be like, woo, this is exciting, a road trip, yay, small potatoes. And then by the time you're bored of road trips, you're going to be like, whoa, I'm in these ginormous Titanic mountains. Whereas if you go from Alaska down to the lower 48, you're like, wow, amazing Titanic mountains, I'm on a road trip, woo, I'm going to get so drunk. And then by the time like halfway through, you're like,
please don't do that while you're driving on a road trip. That's irresponsible.
Okay. You're in another country. The worst they do is
it's probably worse. I think they're much harsher on drunk drivers in Canada.
So, but then you get to like BC and you're like, oh, cow pastures. This is nice. All right, I'm bored. So I think like with LVO, it's like in like Adepticon, maybe you did it the right way. Where like go to LVO and like that's a lot bigger than like what you're used to. And it was a lot of fun. You had a blast at LVO.
I did have a blast, but very little of it was gaming related.
Oh,
I had a blast in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And I had fun at a friendly tournament.
Schaumburg, Illinois is not a blast. I'll just tell you that right now. Schaumburg, Illinois is like
I said,
wow. So this strip mall goes for how many miles?
Yeah. There was like 15 of us that went down to Vegas.
Yeah.
And about 5 of us that solidly had the same plans for the weekend. So I said that was a blast, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But like I said, I think Adepticon, it deals a lot more with kind of upcoming releases, the models, the the kind of the modeling aspect of it.
Yeah.
More of that. I mean, there's a tournament there, yeah, and there's other gaming stuff that happens during the weekend, but you don't necessarily have to game to enjoy it, which I think is where LVO is. You have to game to enjoy it properly.
Did you do any gaming?
I did a little bit. I played a patrol mission, which is like 400 points. Yeah. And I kind of do that like obligatory, like, hey, I played a game. And then I did a Titanicus. I ended up playing in 2 Titanicus games. Okay. But
you were running that too, right?
I ran one and then participated in the other one. But I think, so mostly it was painting, modeling classes. Which is amazing. I love the fact that like you had people coming from Austria, Germany, just all over the world just to kind of come and like learn and to share their experiences. And some of the classes were expensive, so you were getting paid to do it. Sure. But like one of the guys I was talking to is somebody I'd seen last year. He was just somebody attending, and he ended up winning a Crystal Brush Award. There. Oh, very cool. So he's a
legit guy.
Yeah, DeMarcus. He's super cool. But he came from Austria, and this is the only time he comes to the United States is for this event. So I don't know. I think that's just kind of neat where it's that big of a draw.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think like LVO had a Crystal Brush contender, so they were kind of like, what do they call that? If you win that, then you go to Crystal Brush. Sure. What a qualifier.
Well, the qualifier. Yeah.
So I think there's there's like 4 qualifiers in the United States before you get to Adepticon.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, I think like you did it the right way. Like you start off with LVO, and that's not to say you won't go back to LVO, but like, then you ratchet up to Adepticon. That way you're not like, this isn't Adepticon.
Yeah, I'm fairly done with competitive 40K.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just in it for fun now.
Cool. Well, then there's
fun modeling.
Then there's patrol missions and kill team missions and drunk Warhammer and Adepticon Titanicus.
Yeah, I avoided that at LVO as well.
Oh, and the cosplay.
Yeah, hardcore cosplay. I had a couple of really cool pictures you put up there of the different cosplayers.
Leather skirts.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're just going to wrap it up, I think. Yeah. And then, move on.
We'll taste a little Gathering Storm, or leave that for next time?
I think we're going to leave that for next time. Because I think it would be unfair, because after LVO, we just did LVO, and we just focused on LVO.
Yeah.
It would be, I think, rude to Adepticon to dilute it with Gathering Storm 3. So, we'll be right back for some cringeworthy plugs. And to wrap up this wonderful episode of Mob Rules. Woo!
Do you like cookies but want something more British? Buy biscuits. Not like those you have for gravy. British biscuits. For dunking in your British tea. Stiff upper lip guaranteed. Biscuits. As recommended by Queen Liz of the Britons.
Beep.
And we're back. Okay. So, Ted, like I said, I am super jealous of your Adepticon experience. I think it was like a really good choice to go. I'm kind of jealous that I decided to start a new job like a week before you went.
Yeah, if only we could see the future. You will have that time available. You don't have to ask for time off.
Yeah, I know. Who knew? And like I said, it looks like another great event.
I did forget to mention the swag bag, just real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. So, sorry to derail this.
Oh, no, it's all good, man.
But
go on.
Yeah, the swag bag was retarded. I got the medium one, so I think you had like you go in and you get a pass. Like, that's all you get, a piece of laminate. And then the second one was like the bag that I got, and the third one was the VIG, or the VAG bag, as I would call it. The premium, I think I got the War Machine main book. There was like a model display case. I think the Malifaux mystery box. There was like a fuck ton of like independent like pewter stuff.
Sure.
Oh gosh, I think there was all sorts of extra bases. I think there was a wealth of stuff in there. Cool. There was a lot of really cool stuff. But the if you'd gone for a little bit extra with the VIG, and last year it wasn't that amazing. Kurt had got it, but this year they. I'm sorry. We also got Rune Wars, which is Fantasy Flight Games' new fantasy battles game that's coming out at the end of the month.
Oh, cool.
So everybody got that. It's a $100 box set. So you're just like, here you go, enjoy.
That's awesome. Please play my game.
There's piles of them. So then if you got the VIG, you got all that stuff. Plus you got the Citadel Ard case. That's a $125 case.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And you got an extra miniature display case. I think you got a ton of extra minis. I know that there was a game I talked about last year, the Ninja All-Stars. They gave you like a free VIG Ronin. But yeah, there was just like a ton of extra like freebies in there. So last year VIG not so much, but I think if you're going to it next year, wait until I order my VIG, then order a whole bunch of VIG bags.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of these, if they offer like a VIG with free gift bags, go for it because you get a ton of great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like $100 upgrade. I think mine was $25, but like I got hundreds of dollars worth of stuff in there.
Yeah,
I'm not going to use all of it. I'm probably going to give a lot of it away.
But you still look like a good guy for giving it all away.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all that matters.
And with the VIG, just getting like the GW Ard case, like that paid for the upgrade plus.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So don't order it.
No, or do it as soon as Ted orders his.
I'll give you the okay.
Ted, Twitter handle at BC4D. Follow him. Remember, having a little competition going on. Phil at Glacial Geek.
Yes.
Not Glaval Geek.
Not
as I
Glaval
keep
Geek.
on
Or
trying to
Geisha
autocorrect.
Gleek.
Yeah.
Or yeah, because my phone keeps on trying to autocorrect it to Glavial, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
Or myself here at Mob Rules John. Follow us on Twitter. And then all of the other links will be after the fun outro. Because we still have that set up, right?
Yeah.
I make it to the end every time. That's good. Next time, slightly delayed, but we will talk about Gathering Storm 3.
Oh, okay.
And kind of get that in there.
Man, I even read it. Phil and I were like clamoring last minute, like, oh God, let's read this.
That is why.
Me more so.
That is exactly why. I'm like, no, it's too late.
So I can reread it.
So yeah, we can get that in there. But yeah, learn about Girdly Man and his trek to Terra with a Dark Angel.
Yeah. Or a couple, I guess.
I mean, couple.
Technically.
Yeah, technically. So for Mob Rules, I've been John.
I'm Ted.
I'm Phil.
And we will see you next time. Well, I won't see you, but you'll hear us next time,
Yes.
I guess.
And maybe see
Hi.
us.
Maybe see us. Yeah, maybe. We'll see how it works out. Bye.
Bye.
This episode of Mob Rules has been brought to you by Mob Rules Media. Please join our Facebook group and be part of the conversation at facebook.com/MobRulesAK. You can also email us at themob@tophat-arts.com. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you in 2 weeks.